The way the media in 2004 and 2005 were so after Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson was completely and utterly racist and anti-black. And it was really, really disgusting to be a 12, 13-year-old and watching all of it play out and really, really realizing that this world is ridiculous. And even the most powerful family in the entire universe, because they're a black family from Gary, Indiana, they still are going to suffer from racism and anti-blackness. And it really just was disgusting. So in 2004, as we all know, Janet Jackson would be the headliner for the Super Bowl. And Janet Jackson is an incredible, incredible artist. She is just as famous as her older brother, Michael. And she is just an incredible human being, super sweet, super nice. Her music videos, her songs were just incredible. Her albums, like, she had 10 number one hits in her life. And she's just an incredible, incredible human. Like, she is the blueprint for all the pop girlies. She's the blueprint for literally so much. And she is just amazing. So the Super Bowl in 2004 decided to make it the Janet Show. And being who Janet Jackson is and growing up in the household that she did and having the brother she does, Michael, she is a sweetheart. So she decided, I'm not going to have it just be the Janet Show. I'm going to share the spotlight. So she's going to bring Justin Timberlake on stage with her, and he's going to perform with her. Cool. Okay. Because the Jacksons, specifically Michael and Janet, had been celebrating and they had been supporting the NSYNC and Justin Timberlake wave of the early 2000s and late 90s. And NSYNC had gone on tour with Janet, the whole 9 yards, okay? And so Janet was doing a favor to Justin Timberlake, who had just released his solo album. And it was a whole big deal. And, you know, Justin Timberlake was grateful. So obviously we know what happened. You know, Janet and Justin were supposed to, you know, it was a last minute thing, so they didn't really get to practice it. But it was basically during one of Justin's songs that they were going to do. He was supposed to pull off her jacket and it was going to show the red bustier and the whole thing and blah, blah, blah. And we all know what happened, the malfunction and everything. And Justin pulled too hard and then showed a black boob. Now, here's where I have a big issue. People got so pissed off because they saw boob on TV when, I'm just going to say it, I'm going to be blunt and I'm going to be real. Most of the people who got mad about the boob on TV, they got mad because it was a black boob. And what really pisses me off is that most of the people mad, ancestors, literally their ancestors, were probably being fed by a black woman who was their nanny, who was their maid, who was their mammy, as they would call it. And they were probably being breastfed by a black woman. Okay? Their ancestors were probably being breastfed by a black woman. So let's just get that straight. Because you act like you've never seen black boob before. But okay, whatever. Right? So there's that. Strike one. Strike two. The Justin Timberlake of it all. Okay? And this is why I hate him so much. Besides the Britney Spears of it all, Janet Jackson. And I know that over time, Janet being the sweet human being that she is, she's a Jackson, you know, they're trained and they know that forgiveness is a thing. And so they're always forgiving of people, even though they should not be. And Janet forgave Justin in some weird way. And as a fan, I can never. Okay? I know she has, but I can never. And this is the reason. Because Justin Timberlake, because after the Super Bowl incident, and fun fact, if you didn't know, this is the reason why YouTube was created, because after that Super Bowl incident happened, people searched the internet to find that video millions of times. And so this guy got it in his head to create a platform where you could search videos as many times as you wanted to and watch them as many times as you wanted to. And that basically created YouTube. So, yeah. But back to it. Janet Jackson was literally blackballed, okay? And I say blackballed not in the context of that's the word. I mean literally blackballed because she's a black woman, right? And she was completely blackballed. Her videos were not being shown on TV. She was not being played on the radio. She was cut from CBS. Like, she couldn't even perform at the Grammys that year, which she was supposed to. And Justin Timberlake took every advantage of that and used that to basically run his career up the charts. And it was disgusting. And then the jokes he made about Janet, not cool. After the Jacksons, not just Janet, but Michael too, came out and supported NSYNC and Justin Timberlake on his solo career as much as they did, and then you came out and did what you did to Janet, was despicable. It's one thing for an incident to happen that's an accident, whatever, okay? It's not anybody's fault if it's an accident. But for you to take that and really run with it, and then to completely make Janet Jackson look like a fool, is despicable, especially to the white media. Because they already think the Jacksons are weird. And so for you to do that is despicable and extremely harmful and very anti-black, very misogynoir, and it's disgusting and racist. And it was gross to hear him say all these things year after year, right? Just to boost his career, right? And to have Janet be on the chopping block for like over 10 years. She's still technically on the chopping block. Okay? The only reason that Janet Jackson is still being celebrated and so, worshipped as special as she is because of diehard fans. And then, of course, the black community. Okay? Because we're always going to support our own. But it's just ridiculous that Janet had to go through that at all. And it just makes me so mad that they were so anti-black and so racist towards Janet. But as we know, that wasn't the end of the Michael, Janet, Jackson's anti-blackness and racism that they would put out to this family. Of course, in 2005, we would have the infamous Michael Jackson trial with the whole, child abuse allegations. And that entire trial in itself was anti-black and very, very, very racist. And him being acquitted on all of the 10 charges was really important because it was always lies, because they searched that man's home. They searched Neverland Ranch and they never found one crumb of evidence. And then when you go back and you actually read the transcripts from the actual trial, you understand that this was all BS and racism. But it didn't stop at the trial, because after the trial and during the trial and before the trial, the media was being completely and utterly racist towards Michael Jackson. Okay, the wacko jacko of it all, them making jokes about Michael Jackson in music videos, TV shows, movies, so many things. Just look at Eminem and how Michael had to go and grab up his catalog because he was like, no, sir, we are not doing that today. Okay? Everybody was making fun of Michael Jackson. Those allegations were so top priority on people's brains, and not just the allegations either. It was just Michael Jackson in general. They just made up so many lies and rumors about Michael Jackson at that time. And it was so anti-black, and it was so racist, and it was so disgusting to have to watch, right? And then the trial happens, and people are making joke after joke after joke after joke, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting, okay? Like, it's just gross. And, Michael having to deal with this, okay, he's used to it because he's had to deal with it his whole life, because all of these things did not start, like, maybe the allegations started in the 90s, sure, but the media being after Michael Jackson for being weird, for being a little different, for being a little strange, happened as early as the 70s. So it's not like this just popped out of nowhere. But then adding the allegations into everything made it even 10 times worse. And I just feel so bad for Michael because he didn't deserve any of that. He was going through so much and they were all false and it was all gross. And all he wanted to do was entertain people. Literally all he wanted to do was entertain people. And yet, y'all let it slide. See, I was only 12, 13 when both Michael and Janet were going through this media beratement of their character, and it was gross to watch. And I was young though, so I didn't really fully get it, but I did understand that the media was after these people who literally did nothing. They did nothing. Accidents happen when it comes to Janet, and y'all are just racist against Michael Jackson because you hate him, and you've hated him since the 70s. And so it's just really interesting to me how they tried to really take this family down. And so it's really, really interesting when I see people getting mad at publications like Variety, or publications or like media sites, like critic sites, like Rotten Tomatoes. Like, yes, we expected these people and these publications and these critic sites to have something bad to say about the Michael movie because they hate the Jacksons. They hate the Jacksons. And why do they hate the Jacksons so much? Because they hate that a family, a Black American family from Gary, Indiana, was the hugest family on the planet. And they had so much support, and they had so much, energy, and they had so much spotlight on them, and they were one of the most famous and one of the most celebrated families in the history of the world. And y'all were mad because they were Black American. And that's it. That's it. So, yeah, this whole thing just really bothered me when I was a kid, and it still does to this day, because I just feel like the media was so anti-Black against the entire Jackson family, but specifically Michael and Janet, because they were the two biggest stars from the Jackson family. And it's just gross to watch because I hate it. I hate it. And so when people say that we owe Michael Jackson a huge apology, we do, but specifically the media owes Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson the hugest of apologies, because they did not deserve even half of what they had to go through because of the media, and because of anti-Blackness, and because of racism, and because y'all can't stand that a Black American family from Gary, Indiana was the biggest, hugest family in the world. You can handle it because you're anti-Black and racist.
I know that's a fact.